Hi, 7th graders. Today we're going to be writing an essay explaining some things about the Facing Injustice theme, and we're going to write together. In order to work today, you're going to need to start out with about 4 pieces of loose leaf paper. You will also need a pencil and a highlighter. You also might find it helpful to use and have some of these documents from the unit. You know, the hate speech article might be helpful, your genocide article might be helpful, your human rights packet, even your PBT might be helpful because there were a lot of facing injustice examples that you work through in here. Also, you don't have to, but it could be helpful to have a device in case you want to Google something, a quick fact, a statistic. You could even use it for spell checking. You don't want to get distracted by it, but it could be helpful to have a device. Or you could just pop open another window on your computer and use that. So you will also need to go ahead and put your name, date, and class in the upper right-hand corner of all your papers. So, for example, I have here my paperwork, and so you can see I have my name, date, and class in the upper right-hand corner. I have the Facing Injustice essay title up there. And you will also need to take your highlighter and go ahead and mark your margins. This is for pacing. This is going to make sure that you go ahead and write the amount that you need to write as you're writing. You can stretch your writing or control your writing so you don't get to the end and realize you've written way too much or not enough. So mark your margins like this and label. The second page looks like this. And then the third page looks like this. So go ahead and take the time to set up all the pages, and you can pause this. You can pause, and then I'll see you back here after you have it set up. Okay. Hi, 7th graders, welcome back. So right now you'll see that I have begun to set up my pre-writing. So this will be your 4th piece of paper. You can take these other pieces of papers you set up for the actual essay, and you can just put them to the side for right now because you can't really start developing an essay without just pre-thinking and pre-writing. So let's get ready to pre-think and pre-write. So again, put your name, date, and class on your paper. Put the title pre-writing outline, and then you're going to set up this way. Roman numeral 1, A, B, and C, and this is for your intro paragraph. Roman numeral 2, A, B, and C, and this is for your first body paragraph. Roman numeral 3, A, B, and C, and this is going to be the ideas for your second body paragraph. Roman numeral 4, A, B, and C, and these will be the ideas for your third body paragraph. And then Roman numeral 5 and the word conclusion, A, B, and C, these will be the ideas you have to kind of wrap up and close up your essay. So you need to go ahead and set this up, and I'll zoom out just so you can see the whole thing. Well, it lets me zoom out. So I'll just scan the paper up. This is what the top of the paper will look like. And then you have to set it up all the way through. Okay, so if you need to, pause and go ahead and set up. But I also want to just take a minute to remind you about the 3 R's. There's 3 R's that we would like you to completely avoid as you write today. The first one is the idea of rambling. Don't ramble. When you ramble, you just over explain by using several similar examples, and it's just rambling. It's no need to do it. It makes your paper needlessly long, and it makes it seem like you don't remember what you previously said. So don't ramble. Second R to avoid is being repetitive. So if you say something more than once, this is like rambling, but you're just repeating it. You didn't even change it around. You're just repeating the same example or the same idea again in a different paragraph. This is not good. You need to have a variety of ideas that all closely tie in to the main topic that you're writing about. And then the final R to avoid is don't go rogue. So this means you go completely off the topic. It's easy to do. You have to make sure that every single paragraph closely connects to the topic stated in your thesis. So the big general overall topic in your thesis, the idea of why we should learn about injustice from a person who's actually experienced it, every single idea must closely feed in. If not, I call that going rogue. You have gone off the topic, you've gone off the focus, and this is something that we can't even score because you're off the focus. So those are the 3 R's you need to avoid. And go ahead and finish setting up your outline paper, and then we will be ready to pre-write. Okay, so let's start pre-writing. You can pause this at any time, but remember, this is a way for you to just write down some skeleton ideas. You do not have to write every single sentence, fact, or detail. It's not important. What is important is that you have a rough idea of where you're going so that you can control the essay. So to get started, this is the section that has to do with introducing my topic. And the topic for everyone is the same. What is the benefit of learning about injustice from a person who experienced it? This is going to turn into your thesis statement. In other words, you have to state this very early in the essay, in the introduction, so the reader knows exactly that that is your topic, that's your thesis, and it turns into a statement. Then these are my controls. I call these controls. You don't have to write this, but I'm just going to put this here for you. You've already learned about these. The controls are the things that keep you on focus. This helps you know what to cover and what to not cover. And so for me, I'm going to write about, my subtopics are, why should we learn about injustice from someone who experienced it? Because it may motivate people to confront injustice. I'm going to also have a paragraph about it may help people have compassion for others who've experienced these hard times. And then my final body paragraph is going to focus on the ways that it teaches us some historical lessons. So these are the reasons why I feel we should learn about injustice from someone who has actually experienced it. Okay, so I'm going to shift my paper right now, and I want to just give you a few ideas for some other controls, some other subtopics. I do not want you to think that you should be copying my controls. Yes, we should all have the same-ish thesis, but we should not all have the same controls, because this is your chance to really talk about what you feel are the benefits of studying about injustice through a person who's experienced it. So here are a couple of possible other controls that you could use. So maybe it's helpful to learn about injustice from someone who's experienced it because it keeps us from repeating old injustices. Maybe it validates those who have suffered so they don't feel ignored. Maybe it teaches us perseverance, how to really struggle through something by someone else's example. Maybe it teaches people to look out for others, their fellow human beings. or maybe it shows us how we should or should not treat others in the world. So these are just a few other ideas of controls or subtopics that you can have, because I do not want you to have my ideas on your essays. That wouldn't be good. As we read through your essays, Ms. Magliaro and I, we know what was in the sample essay, and so please do not copy from the sample essay word for word. You have to develop your own thoughts. You have to develop your own ideas. Okay, so let's keep going to Roman numeral 2. Remember, you can pause at any time if you need. So Roman numeral number 2 is for control A. You can see how I've shifted A, and I'm going to move it right down here to Roman numeral 2. So the first body paragraph is all about possibly confronting injustice once I've learned about it. In other words, speaking up and acting out against injustice. So I'm going to start off by just saying something about confronting injustice is hard, and then I'm going to go in and write about how it is uncomfortable but necessary for people to confront injustice, and I'll give the example of the Olympians, and I'm going to use my PBT for that. Then I'm going to keep going and talk a little bit more about the problem of not confronting and remaining silent and all the harm that it causes, and I'm going to bring in Hitler and some examples from Anne Frank. And then I'm going to wrap up this paragraph talking about how injustice still occurs in this world, and we really need to confront it if we're going to try to diminish it from happening. So these are all the ideas. I don't have a lot of detail here, but I'm going to save that for when I actually write the essay. Now it's time to go to Roman numeral 3. Remember, you can pause at any time if you need to. As a matter of fact, you should probably pause right now and go ahead and write your Roman numeral 2. And then come back, unpause when you're ready for Roman numeral 3. Okay, so here's Roman numeral 3. You can see that I've taken B and I've placed it right down here at Roman numeral 3. Roman numeral 3 is all about how learning about injustice will help me have compassion for others. So I'm going to start this paragraph out by, and I'm just going to cover this up so it doesn't distract you. I'm going to start Roman numeral 2, the second body paragraph. I'm sorry, Roman numeral 3, the second body paragraph, talking about how it is important to have compassion for others. And I'll continue my paragraph by explaining that some people may never face injustice, in the sense that we have studied it, like the wealthy and the powerful. They may never experience injustice, so learning about it could help them build compassion for others. I'm also going to talk about and discuss the ways that anyone can sympathize with tragic situations, because we all have feelings and we can sympathize when something tragic happens or something unfortunate happens to someone else. And then I'm going to use one very specific example that I personally learned about. We didn't learn about this in class, so you can't use this example. But I personally have been learning about how hunger and poverty is still really prevalent in the United States. And I'm going to use that as this idea of building compassion for others. And as a side note here, I do want you to know that I found a few fast facts. I Googled a few fast facts on this idea of hunger in America. And so I wrote a few facts over here that I can work into my paper. I'm also going to use Human Rights article number 25. This one has to do with everyone, every human having the right to adequate food, housing, and health care. So all that's going to be in this body paragraph about compassion, building compassion for others by learning about injustices that have happened in the past. Okay, so now it's time to, and again, you're going to have to pause because it's time to write your ideas down for your second body paragraph. So pause, write your ideas down for your second body paragraph, and then come back. Okay, so welcome back, and let's go to body paragraph, the third body paragraph. And this one had to do with how learning about injustice from someone who experienced it can teach us all historical lessons. So history is a way of has a way of teaching us historical lessons, and so I'm going to start this paragraph by stating that. I'll go on to explain that periods of social injustice have happened in the past, and I'll probably give one or two examples. Again, it would be examples that I haven't already used because I don't want to be needlessly repetitious, so it won't be any of these. Then I'll go on and talk about how societies should not just focus on their positives in history, but also their past problems throughout history, because again, there are lessons to be learned with the past problems and injustices in society. And then I'll wrap up this paragraph by discussing how past injustices, the injustices that happened in World War I and World War II, led to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and I'll explain that because this was in the preamble of the Human Rights, and I can pull that in as text reference there. Okay, so now it's time for you to write your third body paragraph ideas. Pause and then come back when you are ready, and we'll wrap up and talk about how you can pre-write your conclusion. Okay, so welcome back. Let's talk about the conclusion. This is going to be a tiny little paragraph. You already learned that the conclusion is a tiny little paragraph, and this paragraph is going to wrap everything up. There are a few things you could do here. You could, well, first let me just share mine. So I'm going to start with a famous quote, and this is a famous quote by Dr. King. Injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So I'm going to use a famous quote to kind of wrap up, and then I'm going to pose a challenge to readers to kind of step up and speak up against injustice, and then I'm going to make a positive prediction, something like, if we all, really do face up and stand up to injustice, the world will probably be a better place, and then I'll be done. So these are my conclusion ideas. So before you pause and write your conclusion ideas, I have a few that might be able to help you. So I forgot to share the introduction ideas, but I'll share them all at the same time. So if you're wondering how you can introduce without giving a whole bunch of facts that are going to be in your body paragraph, here are some things you can do. You can give some general, broad background information. You can state each control in a different sentence. That's my favorite, because by highlighting each control, you really do let the reader know, you let the teacher know what you're about to cover. You can also include some shocking fact or statistic, but keep it general. Don't include any specific facts. Now, when it's time for you to close and conclude, there are a few things you can do to conclude. So you can use a famous quote like I did. You can make a promise or prediction like I did. You can end with a big sweeping summary statement. You can restate your controls. That's an oldie but a goodie. You can restate restate the, I don't know why I said over. You can restate the thesis. That's also a classic way to end, or anything else that you want to do to close. But remember, no new info. You do not want to introduce any new ideas or any new information in the conclusion, because then you would just be continuing and not concluding. So now's the time to pause and make sure your introduction is pretty much perfect, because once your introduction is perfect, the rest of the essay flows quite easily. So pause, and we'll continue on the next video, which is the essay writing video, part 2 of the Watch and Learn, or the